We be live. How's everyone in the live chat? Hi Soha. Hi music guy. Let me know if the audio is good. I'm gonna be answering your questions, so post your questions in the live chat. I do have some Patreon questions that we have to address first. So while I'm addressing the Patreon questions, please add your questions in the live chat. We have 4 Patreon questions, and we have really good questions. Actually today. But before I answer the questions, I want to show you guys something very interesting. Okay, and it involves Iran, geopolitics, and video games. Right. So I'm gonna show something interesting. I'm gonna find things that are interesting, and before these Q&As, every time I'm gonna have something that you might find, bizarre or so the news that I consume in Persian, sometimes you guys are not going to get it on your English news, so I'm going to translate it for you guys. But before I do that, I just want to let you guys know that the Patreon questions will be answered first. So if you are not a patron, you can consider becoming a patron. And what you get out of that is that your questions will be answered ahead of everyone else's. So they will, sometimes I won't be able to answer all the questions in live chat, but if you're a patron, your questions will definitely be answered. Also, the another advantage is that you don't have to be here. Like sometimes people are busy and they want to ask their questions, but they're not going to be live here, right? So the way to get your question answered, even if you're not live here with us, is to become a patron, and you send the questions ahead of time, and that way I get to answer them, right? So before what Ian is like, flex, really? No. Okay, wait, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so let me do this before we go to the Patreon questions. Okay, so this is very guys, look at this. All right, so the context here, let me actually see if we have audio. Is that Iran makes certain video games, and the video games in Iran obviously are not just video games, obviously not, right? They are ideological, they're propaganda. Okay, video games in Iran are propaganda. So we have like programmers in Iran, video game producers in Iran, are have made like are making video games in response to a command by Ayatollah Khamenei himself, okay, of like spreading the Islamic Republic's ideology, right? So this video game that was made, which is, I think, what does it say? This is kind of like weird. Something Shadow was made about Qasem Soleimani, the guy who was assassinated by the U.S. in Iraq. You guys know Qasem Soleimani right now. So this video game is about him. And then when it came out, people recognized that it seems to be a copy of Call of Duty. Okay, so let's watch this. Let me know if you have audio once I play it. Oh, the game is called is supposed to be a video game about Qasem Soleimani, but the name is General Dar Saya, means like the general in shadow, in the shadows, or in the hidden general, basically. Like, because he's like so good, he's supposed to be like this kind of superhero figure that did everything in the shadows and manages to get things done like secretly. Like, that's why it's titled like that. It's like, so they're showing the gameplay, and then they're comparing it to Call of Duty to show that it was basically all the movements, all the background, all the angle of the camera, everything was a complete copy of Call of Duty. So they couldn't make something original, I guess. Wait, so this one, I think this is the Persian version. Yeah, this is the gameplay of the Persian version. Oh, people are saying my name. Oh, they're saying no audio? Hold on. No audio video, really? Yeah, let me try again. First, I made 2 mistakes. Do you have audio now? And also, Soha is telling me that my name is in Persian. Because I did the Persian show. So let me fix my name to English. Okay, now you have audio. Okay, fix my name to English. Hold on, let's go back here.
خیلی از گیمرها میگن که بازی قاسم سلیمانی یا ژنرال در سایه نسخه ایرانی بازی آمریکایی کال آف دیوتیه. چند ثانیه از خود بازی ژنرال در سایه یا به قول گیمرها گیم پلی رو ببینیم.
This is the Persian version. So in this one, they're attacking Americans. So like that was an American office, and you're the Persian guy, right?
و حالا چند ثانیه از گیم پلی کال آف دیوتی که بعضی از گیمرها اعتقاد دارن بازی سلیمانی
Now she's saying like now we're going to watch the gameplay of Call of Duty to compare.
از روی اون کپی شده رو ببینیم.
This is Call of Duty.
در هر دو بازی ادوات جنگی بسیار شبیهن مثل اسلحه
She's saying like there's so many similarities. Like,
دست تیراندازی یا
like the guns are the same.
مثلا میدان دید
The field of vision is exactly the same.
دوربین تقریبا همون زاویه
The field of vision of the camera.
دوربین کال آف دیوتی و انگار تلاش شده محیط بازی هم شبیه کال آف دیوتی درست بشه. نکته عجیب بازی تا اینجایی که تیزر و گیم پلیش منتشر شده اینه که به نظر میرسه هلیکوپتری که قاسم سلیمانی از اون پیاده میشه یک بلک هاک آمریکایی.
So now she's saying like one bizarre thing about the teaser and the gameplay that has been released so far. It seems like Qasem Soleimani, when he comes out of the helicopter that he's coming out of is an American Black Hawk helicopter. So they couldn't, like, if that's true, again, I don't know if this is true, but if that is true, they couldn't even make the helicopter like an original, like, I don't know, something that Iran has access to. They copied the Call of Duty guns and the helicopters and everything else. So, they didn't, when you copy someone's homework, you have to change it a little bit. You have to change it a little bit so it doesn't look like you're copied it. Like, seriously, Black Hawk helicopter, I don't know.
اما برگردیم به هیئت مدیره بنیاد بازی ها.
So I understand Armin Durbin means binoculars. It means that, but it also means camera. It has two meanings.
اعضای سابق هیئت مدیره.
All right, so now she's like trying to like show us a chart of who made what and who's connected to what and like who's responsible for the production of these video games. But I want to see more gameplay of other like now, and then she's going to go through a history of video games of before. So I want to show you some other video games. Hold up. Wait. Come on.
هم حضور داره.
Look at this one. Look at this. What the hell is this video game? What is the mission here? Are you going on a pilgrimage with your dad? Like, is the mission like, yeah, I think they're going on a pilgrimage with the family. Is this like a video? Okay, so basically these are all in response to Khamenei wanting the Islamic stuff and the revolutionary propaganda to be all digitized. That's what he said. He wants to be all in digital format. So I don't know what this is. Is this just like a video, like a game for kids? Look at this chadori little girl. Look at the chador. Look at the chador and this baby girl. Look at that. Okay, what is this? Okay, this one. So yeah, you're supposed to go on a trip, on a pilgrimage. And you start with this. Here it says Iran. In Persian, it says Iran. I don't know what it says in English. Oh, it says 100 kilometers. Okay, and there's a cow, and this is a mosque. It looks like Imam Reza's mosque in Iran. I don't know what this other mosque is. So these are these are different levels because there's locks here. You have to unlock these levels. And there's a camel. Oh yeah, there's more different guys. If you want to make this kids friendly, why is the song so like religiously? Like, you make a cute little kids music in the background. What the hell is this religious music in the background? They're not gonna like this. What are this stuff? Okay. Oh wow, this is a charity box. This is an Iranian charity box. And then what is this? Something Imam Zaman. Oh, Karbala. Yeah, this is a pilgrimage to Karbala. Wow, you have like these charity boxes all along the way. I guess you have to like pay something to go to the other side. Oh, there's another mosque. I think these are famous pilgrimage sites. Wow, so much fun. I wonder how many kids actually play with this. Oh, it says Ya Hussein here on the sign. Oh, what was that? I wanted to see that. Like, that was so quick. God damn it. Hold on. So you click on these things. Oh wait, you're packing. Wow, you're packing stuff for your guys. You're packing stuff for your pilgrimage. Look, what is this? Is this like cream? You have this is your bag. You're packing. And what do you have a blow dryer? What is this cream? Kereme. What does this say? Kerem baroye. Chi? I know it says it's a type of cream, but I can't read it. It's a cream. Guys, if this is supposed to be for kids, don't write stuff in cursive. Kids can't read this stuff. Like print the words. Like they it's hard even for adults to read these. Like, and Martu, I think this is like a moisturizing cream. But if this is supposed to be a kids game, then you shouldn't be writing stuff in cursive.
البته بازی ژنرال.
So I'm saying, so Persian is different from Arabic. Yeah, Persian is different from Arabic, but it's the same font. Like it's kind of the difference between English and German, right? So if you speak English, if you see a German word, you could read it, but you could try to pronounce it, but you're not going to know what it means because you don't speak German. So it's the same font, it's the same letters, and you know what sounds they make, but you don't know and you don't know exactly how it's pronounced, but you know what sounds they make. But these were in Persian. This was written in Persian, not Arabic.
درسایه تنها بازی نیست که با حمایت بنیاد ساخته شده. بنیاد
Wait, I want to see another game. Hold on. There was another game. The last game they showed, it was the worst one. It was like the weirdest one. Here, this one. Hold on. Now she's like, what she's doing right now, she's like giving you the name of different organizations that are responsible for making these games and who's who and who's connected to what. That's boring. I don't want to highlight that. I just want to highlight the game.
که هر دو زیر نظر مستقیم علی خامنه‌ای فعالیت میکنن هم در این.
She's saying like these are directly work underneath like Khamenei's supervision, like, and they have to like. By the way, guys, these organizations, what she also mentioned is that you cannot make a video game in Iran unless these organizations approve it. So it's not like they are adding to the video games out there. No, they are the only ones making them. This one, guys, this was the moment I realized I have to show all of this to you guys. Okay, before this part, I wasn't gonna I was like, oh, that's interesting, and I wasn't gonna show it to you guys. But then I saw this part, I was like, almost dropped what I was holding. I was like, okay, I have to share this. Okay. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. What? Wait, was that a suicide mission? Okay, one more time. He starts very casually. He's like, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And then he's like more subtly, Allahu Akbar. And then at the end, when he's dying, he's like, Yo, Hussein. Wait, one more time, guys. This is like, guys, this is a real video game made for people's consumption. Like, I thought if we didn't know that this is real, I would assume that this is somebody like making a joke about what video games would be like if the Islamic Republic of Iran was making video games. But this is real. This is actually like this. This is like The Onion. God damn it. Hold on one more time. Allahu Akbar. Like Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Oh, see, this last one was like Allahu Akbar, but not third Allahu Akbar. But then, what? What just happened? What happened? By the way, nothing says we're Shia more than yelling Ya Hussein with more passion than saying Allahu Akbar. Okay, if you say, okay, if somebody has more passion with their Ya Hussein than their Allahu Akbar, they're, I mean, actually, Sunnis don't say Ya Hussein anyways. Guys, give me a Ya Hussein in the live chat. Everybody, come on, give me Ya Hussein in the live chat. All right, let's go to that was enough fun for today. Let's go to the questions. Okay. So we have 4 Patreon questions, and guys, give me now. Now is the time for you to send me questions, and I'm gonna just answer the Patreon questions. Okay. Let me get the first one. There we go. I hope this whole thing comes in one chat, not in pieces. Guys, if you're sending us Patreon questions, please make sure it's short so it comes in like this. It comes in one piece, okay? So the first question was from Krista Maria. I don't know how the last name is pronounced. Okay. Here's the question. First Patreon question. Where do we as atheists take our values from? The whole woke lunacy is based on non-religious ground and has come an ideology as any religion. What is your opinion? Okay, so let's take this into different parts. We atheists don't take our values from the same place. Atheists are different from each other. The only thing that is better about us compared to other people is that we have one less bad source for values. Okay, doesn't necessarily going to mean that we have good sources of values, but one of the major source of bad values in the world has been closed to us, which is religion, which is the main source of bad values in the world. It's the number one source, and the fact that that door has been closed to a lot of us, that's a good thing. Doesn't guarantee necessarily that we're going to now go and find good sources of values, but it is still an advantage that we have. Okay. So where do we, now that bad source of value, which is religion, has been closed, where do we get our values from? Depends on the atheist you're talking to, right? I believe in utilitarianism. Other atheists believe in different things, okay? That doesn't mean we're not going to have bad sources. And some of us are going to have bad sources. That doesn't mean that there's no point in fighting religion, because it's still a huge advantage. It makes it less likely for us to have bad sources of value. You know, it's not binary. It's not like, oh, look at these atheists. They're saying no to religion, but now they believe in communism, which is also very bad. So there's no point. Even without religion, people are gonna believe in bad sources of bad ideas. No, don't think binary. Just because some of us are idiots, that doesn't mean all of us are. Some of us are gonna go find better values. Okay, and so just because don't generalize all of atheists as if they're going to be like, you're talking about atheists as if they act and behave the same way. It really depends. Okay, I personally think like utilitarianism is the best way. I mean, and I'm absolutely correct about that. It's so obvious, and anybody who disagrees with me is completely wrong. And it's so amazing to me that people could find other ways. This is so obviously the way. And if you disagree with me, let me know in the live chat or in the comment section, and I will not read it because you are wrong. Then it continues and saying the whole woke lunacy is based on non-religious ground and has come an ideology as an ideology as any religion. What is your opinion? I don't know what you mean by it has come as an ideology. Okay, so it is an ideology. It is different from religion. It has many similarities to religion. It is not as popular as a lot of people think it is in the left. Most attacks on wokeism. So the attacks on wokeism comes from both the left and the right. And I actually enjoy the attacks on wokeism from the left more than the attacks on wokeism from the right. I think a lot of attacks on wokeism from right-leaning people comes from other motivations, and their ideas are also, many times just as bad, if not worse. So this, I don't think like wokeism seems to not be as big of a threat. It seems to be like it did a lot of damage, and it continues to do a lot of damage, but not as bad as a lot of people think. It is a horrible ideology, right? If you're talking, but it's very fringe. It's very loud and very fringe, and it doesn't really necessarily, it doesn't represent most of the left. And the best criticism of woke comes from left-leaning people. So I don't think, I think we should still respond to it, but not at the expense of ignoring. The problem I have with a lot of anti-woke stuff these days is that a lot of them have moved forward to go beyond just anti-woke. A lot of them have actually getting some, it used to be ironic because that it used to be like we would say anybody who's not woke apparently is being accused of racism and transphobia, right? And that was ridiculous. But now we have got to a point where a lot of people, well, not some people who are anti-woke are actual transphobic or big or xenophobic and stuff like that. And then when the thing I have to be mindful about is that when we are speaking against wokeism, we have to be careful for us not to be used by these other people as cover, because they have different agendas, right? So we'll still call it out. We'll still see it. And I don't think, like, when you say this this woke stuff is basically a response to people having no religion, I don't buy that for a second, because most of the time non-religion doesn't really lead to that. This is just a I don't know if Krista, you're American, but this is your country's problem or UK's problem or some other country's problem. Most people, when they leave religion, they don't go into wokeism. This is a very fringe thing. Most atheists are completely, are not going to get played. Like, just because you're seeing it, just because you're noticing it, and just because you are aware of its harm, that doesn't mean that lack of religion is going to most likely lead to wokeism. It's a completely fringe thing, right? Let me go to the next question. Bulbul. Next question is from Bulbul. I'm not missing any questions. Hold on. Making sure. We have 4. The 2 last ones are from Music Guy. Music Guy has really good questions. And Bulbul too. And Krista too. Okay, so I don't want to say anything. Let me people. Okay. Okay. Bobo is asking, I have to host a podcast in a few weeks. Any tips on how to effectively interview people on a podcast? Yes. First of all, one thing you could do, maybe it's too late now, but one thing that helps a lot is to make sure you bring on somebody that you will actually find interesting, so you don't have to exhaust yourself pretending that you're finding them interesting. You know what I mean? Yeah, interviewing somebody that you genuinely find interesting is going to be so easy, because you don't have to think too much about what you're going to say, because you are just so motivated to just you genuinely have questions. Like, it just jumps out of you organically. You know what I mean? So if you interview people that you genuinely want to listen to, then most of the conversation that you're going to have with them doesn't require you doing any work other than the conversation you would have with them privately anyways, because you genuinely want to know their opinion about this and that, right? So that's one advice. Another advice I have is do have some go-to questions in case, because some guests make it very easy for you, and they just have so much to say that you're not going to work. You don't have to worry about like making sure you move the show forward. It's just going to be actually the other way around. You're going to have to, like, most of your effort is going to be like having them making them stop so you could go to the next topic, right? So there's guests come into challenging guests come in 2 forms, right? One form is like me as a guest. It's hard to like get them to like stop talking so you can move on to the next this topic. But the other challenging guess is like, if you don't push them with questions, they will just not speak. right? You have to like constantly ask them questions, and sometimes you don't know which guest you're gonna have, right? Actually, the second type of guest is the more challenging. So it would be better for you to have some questions prepared in case you have the second type of guest. But if it happens to be not an issue, you don't have to go to your list. You know what I mean? You could just have it as a go-to in case your guest needs help with uh talking points, right? And yeah, and also like just have some bullet points just there, on the screen next to you or on your phone next to you, just as a way to give, even if you don't read the questions directly, just to know like we could start with this and see where it goes and then move on to here. Like have a plan, ahead of time, right? But don't be rigid. Don't be like, I'm going to ask you these questions. Like be a little bit organic, right? Just comment on what they said. Maybe ask some questions based on something they said, not just questions that you have pre-prepared. However, be also mindful that you're not talking most of the time. That's something I'm guilty of a lot. I notice, I mean, if you are talking, it's better if you're talking about what the guest said instead of telling your life story to the guest. I've noticed some hosts invite you over and then you say one thing and then they say, oh yeah, that reminds me of my experience with this, and then they spend like 5 minutes talking about themselves, and I'm like, well, why did you have the guest there? Because you could have done that on a show that when you didn't have the guest there, right? So I'm not saying don't do that at all, but if you do it, keep it short, okay? Because sometimes the guests that you admire so much, and this is the only time you get to speak to them, and then you might be very interested in your guest knowing something about you, okay? So, and this is the only chance you get. So I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm just saying if you do it, make sure the guest is not just sitting listening to you just talk about your life story, right? What else? What else tips I could give? Um, Keep it casual, in my opinion. Just think like, make it feel like it's a conversation. That if it wasn't on a show, like just think like, is this a conversation I would be having with this person if I were just sitting in a living room with them on a couch and just chatting, right? Does it come across like that? Just keep it organic. Don't make it like very formal. Just be like, we're just chatting. It's okay. It's just chatting, right? And oh yeah, sometimes if your guest is not confident, it helps to confirm what they're saying and give them some brownie points by saying like, oh, that's very interesting. Oh yeah, well that makes a lot of sense. Like, yeah, I can relate to that. I can relate to that. That makes, like, wow, that made like, oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. And stuff like that. That will make them feel like, oh yeah, if they lack confidence, this is gonna make them feel like, oh yeah, I'm doing this right. Like, this is great. The host loves that. I must be doing something great, and then encourages them to open up even more. All right, so that was. I think I spent so much time on that question. I hope that helped. Let me know if it helped, Bobo. Whenever you, I know she's not here right now, but whenever she sees this, I hope in the comment section she lets me know. All right, next question is from Music Guy. Guys, keep the question. Send me some questions in the live chat because today it seems like we only have Patreon questions. So if I don't see any questions in the live chat, by the time I'm done with the Patreon questions, I'm just gonna leave. Music Guy Music Guy posted this question as a patron, and he said, could you give commentary on the current Iraqi parliamentary vote and that Shia, al-Sadar's party, Muqtada al-Sadar's party is expected to win majority seats and also the influence they soon have? Yes. So this is just happening as we're speaking. The last results are coming in. Based on the results that I've seen so far, and there might have been even more updates in the past couple hours, I don't know. But based on the original, it might be too soon to say this, but everything we've seen shows that Iran has been the Islamic Republic of Iran has been a major loser in this election. Okay, so it's true that the number one position seems to be going to the Shia party, al-Sadr's party, but it's not the group of Shias that are loyal to Tehran. Okay, those groups have been performing very, very poorly. By the way, the main highlight about what we're seeing right now happening in Iraq is that the turnout was embarrassingly low. Like, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, these turnouts have been the lowest since the fall of since the U.S. invasion and fall of Saddam. This is what I heard. Maybe it's incorrect. I think the percentage was 40%. 40% for a Middle Eastern country is like that has elections is so low, like so low. Like these are countries that they're like, if you get anything below 70% is an embarrassment, right? So this is 40% is really bad. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was 40%. So I think like a lot of people, what does that say about people's faith in their government? But the fact that Iran's parties, the parties loyal to Iran, have been performing really bad is terrifying the mullahs in Iran. So much so that they have sent their head of the Quds force, the IRGC's foreign army force. They immediately sent him to Iraq because Iran spent so much. The Islamic Republic of Iran has spent so much into making Iraq its proxy, right? Treating Iraq like it's a province of Iran, right? And now, after all those, like, alienating the entire world, spending so much money at like doing these proxy wars, accepting all these sanctions just to be able to control Syria, Yemen, Lebanon, and now the most important one of them, Iraq. After all of this, if they're losing the government of Iraq was supposed to be a proxy of the mullahs in Tehran. If they lose that, this is like, what did we do all of this for, right? So they're panicking. Again, just because the group that is ahead is Shia, it doesn't mean it's going to be the Shias that Tehran was. So we're going to see what is going to happen with that. But again, if you're watching this later, it's because maybe our video editor cuts these, maybe a week or so later, and then it's going to come to you at a time that we might know more. So again, everything I'm saying here right now is based on the initial information that we're getting from the election. By the time that you're getting this video, I might have a different view on it. But maybe by the time that like the complete analysis comes out and people will see when the dust settles, maybe we'll do an entire stream on the situation in Iraq right now. So this actually is giving me an idea. Let me know if that was music guy. Are you in the live chat? Did that answer your question? Let me know if that was good before I move on to the next question. Oh, Qassem is pointing out something very important. Guys, the control that Iran is losing, again, I keep saying Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran is losing over Iraq, is because of Qasem Soleimani's absence. Okay? This was every year that passes, we notice how good of an assassination with the takeout of Qasem Soleimani was. Like, they're losing their grip over these places because Qasem Soleimani was not there. Qasem Soleimani was the key, the main person that was keeping all these proxies in check. That was the guy everybody knew. He was so talented and so good at doing this. And he was the guy that was able to go to Kurdistan, Iraq, and make them like bend the knee, and go to Syria, and go to Afghanistan and get the Fatimiyun, get people from soldiers from Afghanistan moved to Syria. Like, he was the guy. He knew how to do it. He had the connections. He had the respect, and people were loyal to him, and people believed in him. Without him, all of these grips are slowly like loosening, right? So again, his absence has not been filled with somebody else that could do the job. Like people were actually pretending like, yeah, Qasem Soleimani is God and it's a loss, but don't worry, we have this other guy and he's going to be just as good. Apparently not. Apparently Qasem Soleimani was the guy. This is why I'm telling you, if the only thing Trump did, maybe if I remember something else, I could endorse that as well. The only thing Trump did that I will endorse was taking out Qasem Soleimani. I can't think of anything else he did. Oh, Max, no, I can't. Not right now. I can't think of anything else he did that I support. Everything else was crap. Okay, music guy is satisfied. So let me go to the next question by music guy, and this is going to be the last Patreon question, and we're going to go to live chat questions. Oh yeah, this guy is saying, Terrell saying, but bro, peace mission. Yeah, Kyle Klinsky. Kyle Klinsky was the guy who said like, oh, why did we take out Qasem Soleimani? He was on a peace mission. Qasem Soleimani, the murderer of children, the guy that uses child soldiers in from Afghanistan to die for them in Syria. Kyle Klinsky like, why did we kill Qasem Soleimani? He was on a peace mission. On a peace mission. God damn it, that guy. Okay, so music guy is asking, is Iran trying to pick a fight with Azerbaijan as tensions between them heighten? No, they're not trying to pick a fight with them. They're feeling threatened by Azerbaijan. This tiny little country with a tiny little army is threatening the Islamic Republic of Iran because of many reasons. Let me see if I could list all of them, right? From the least important to the most important, okay? Least important was recently Azerbaijan stopped the trucks from Iran going to Azerbaijan and started, asking for a fee for like the trucks that used to be free flowing to Armenian, or you people know it as Armenia, and now they apparently Azerbaijan is like, ever since we're here, we won the war against them. You don't get to do that anymore. And Iran is like, what? So that was the least, the beginning of the tension started with that, right? The second most important thing, second to last most important thing, was that Azerbaijan, Pakistan, and Turkey, started to do some military, what is it called? Tamreen, like some military, what is it called when people like just do like a fake war? Like, what is it called? I consume these news in Persian. Let me see. Pakistan, Azerbaijan, and Turkey. I'm sure if I search for these three countries. Drills. Yes, drills. They did some military drills close to the border of Iran. All right. And guys, no, not proxy war, drills. They did some drills close to the border of Azerbaijan and Iran. And what is the similarity between, like, so if you think about Pakistan and Turkey, right? They're both Muslim Brotherhood-ish. Okay? But let me come back to that, because there's three Islamic forces in and around Middle East, and Azerbaijan should be on Iran's side, given that they're Shia, but they're not. They're on Turkey. They're on the Turkey side, which is more Muslim Brotherhood-ish. Okay, we're gonna get back to the power dynamics between these forces. Okay, hold on. Let me highlight the question again. Okay. So this was the second thing that was pissed off Iran's government. The third and the most important reason why any form of military drills or military activity around the borders of Iran by Azerbaijan pisses them off and scares the bejesus out of them is what? Come on, guys. What is the third most important? What is the most important reasons? You know this. You guys know this. I want to see if you guys know your stuff. Anybody? Anybody? No? Okay, I'm just going to say it. Israel. Azerbaijan is very close to Israel. Okay, hold on. Let me see. I think Azerbaijan gets 60 or 70% of its military from Israel. Let me see. Azerbaijan. Is it military Israel? They're very close. They're buddies. How many percentage? Somebody tell me. I think it was 60% or 70%. It's not telling me. Okay, it's either one of those things. It's either music guy. I thought you would have the answer here. It would it's either 60 or 70. I forgot which one it was, but that's a huge chunk. Okay, and they also, I think, and also Israel buys fuel from Azerbaijan as well. I think it's either So Azerbaijan buys military equipment from Israel, and Israel buys, I don't know, is it gas or oil? Some sort of carbon fuel. Or is it gasoline? Yeah. Anyways, they're pretty close. And to a lot of people, this seems like very bizarre, because what is the religion in Azerbaijan? What is the religion in Azerbaijan? Tony B is saying, you are a liar. About what? Everything I'm saying is well established. Guys, come on. You guys should be good at this. What is the main religion? Yes, Shia. Okay, good job. So Iran is Shia, and Azerbaijan is Shia. So Aryan is saying Islam. Yeah, but it's not just Islam. It's Shia Islam. Okay? So Iran is Shia. Azerbaijan is Shia. And yet you would think that given that Iran goes and finds proxies around its borders, and the main places where it finds proxies is Shia places, right? It goes into Iraq is mostly Shia. It goes to Syria is mostly Sunni, but the government is Shia, so it uses the government, right? It goes to Afghanistan and finds the Shia areas and uses there to create this Fatimian proxies in Afghanistan. Everywhere it goes into Lebanon, gets the Shias there to unite with Iran. Everywhere Iran goes, the number one strategy is to use the Shia community, the Shia population of that country, as a way to, grow its tentacles there and create proxy groups, right? So how come with Azerbaijan, a country that is majority Shia, right next to its borders, the allies of these countries are either Sunni or Israel? Azerbaijan's friends are Pakistan, Turkey, which are Sunni, and Israel. How did that happen? How did they not get closer, given that they're both Shia? Why they're not closer? What is the tension, do you think here? What is the main source of tension? Yeah, 70s music guy. Oh, yes, D is correct. Another thing Trump did right was the Abraham Accords. Okay, yes, D, you're right. Only two things Trump did right. The tension between Azerbaijan and Iran is not religious in nature, it's ethnic. Okay? Azerbaijan was part of Iran before the Russians came and took it. And then when the Soviet Union fell apart, Azerbaijan actually came and offered to join Iran. Be like, can we just be part of Iran now? And Hashemi Rafsanjani said, apparently there's audio of him as this, and they're like, nope, no thank you. So they could have been part of Iran, and they're not. They were refused, right? So they became an independent country, but now I think they regret that. Okay, So the problem with Azerbaijan is, as a country, the name of Azerbaijan. So they're Turkish, right? These people are Turkish, and there's Turkish separatist groups right across the border in Iran. Okay, and the province which they live in Iran is called, repeat after me, Azerbaijan, right? So we have an Azerbaijan country and we have an Azerbaijan province, which is a province in Iran, and they're right next to each other, okay? And the people who are separatists in Iran, who want this to want to be like become a, free the Turks in Iran from Iran, they refer to Azerbaijan, as the province of Azerbaijan in Iran, as South Azerbaijan, as in we're gonna join the other Azerbaijan one day, right? So this is very, the main forces Iran's government is afraid of. It's not like the people, like the secular people or the people who want secular democracy, who come out once every year or so and protest in the street. That is not what they're afraid of. The main groups Iran that the government of Iran is afraid of are these separatist groups, either Turkish separatist groups, Arab separatist groups. What did I say? Kurdish, Turkish, and Arab separatist groups. Oh, and also Baluchi ones in the east, right? I think that's about it. Oh, now with the Taliban, we have the Khorasani separatist group. Great, we have separatist groups everywhere, right? So that's what they're terrified about. In fact, they were in a war right after the Islamic Revolution of Iran in 1979. There was a war, civil war with the Kurds, which my uncle died in, right? My uncle was a soldier on the Iranian side fighting against the Kurds, and he got shot in his tummy, and he went to the hospital, and he didn't die from the bullet. He died from infection inside the hospital, while my mom was taking care of her as a nurse. So my mom was a nurse, and she happened to be his nurse while he was dying in the hospital. So what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So the issue is that Iran has been trying to use its proxy groups all around the Middle East to surround Israel, right? So they're like, we got you from Gaza, we got you from the north with Hezbollah, so we got you from Gaza with Hamas. Like, Iran is the main, one of the main, or by now I think the main supporter of Hamas. I could be wrong about that. If not the main supporter of Hamas, is one of the main supporters of Hamas. So they're like, they're trying to surround Israel from all corners, right? Like, they're like, we got you from Gaza by Hamas, and we got you from Syria, because now we have all our proxies in Syria, and we have you from the top from Hezbollah. So we're like, Iran is like, we're surrounding Israel for the day that we capture Jerusalem. Like, this is the ultimate goal, right? Again, you remember Qasem Soleimani, the group that he's in charge of is called Quds, the Quds Army. The Quds Army, which is the foreign force, the beyond the border military arm of the IRGC, is named Quds, the one that Qasem Soleimani was in charge of, right? Quds means what? Quds means Jerusalem, right? Quds means, actually, no, Quds means the Dome of the Rock. Like, that's where they want to. Wait, Quds means Jerusalem or the Dome of the Rock? One of those, doesn't matter. That's basically the name. That's the CIA and that's the CIA, FBI, and of Iran. And it's as if the CIA had a military, that is what it is for Iran, right? So, no, not the FBI. It would be more of a CIA of Iran, right? Imagine if the CIA in the United States was named Tehran, right? That would be weird, right? So the CIA in Iran is not named CIA. It's named after Jerusalem, which is a city in Israel, because that's their final destination. And they're with all these proxies, they've been trying to surround Israel, right? So now their grip is loosening up a little bit because of the sanctions, and also because of the people in these countries are tired of Iran's influence. One reason why we're seeing in the Iraq's elections just recently, the Shia forces are losing their seats and losing power, is because of the people in these countries are getting angry of how much Iran has influence over their policies, over their foreign policies. Like, Iraqi people are like, stop treating our country like a chessboard, between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Like we want our own politicians that care about our own issues here at home, rather than you guys are using this as a battleground, right? So as Iran's, again, this might change. Iran's grip might get tighter in the future, but right now it seems like it's loosening. At least that's what it seems like. As you know, and also Israel keeps hitting so many of Iran's bases in Syria. Like I don't know if you guys know, like there's constantly, like it doesn't make it in the news anymore. Like Israeli planes are all over Syria and just they taking out Iranian bases. So much so that Russia is not talking to Israel about like we need to figure this out because our people, like we're also active there. But as this grip is loosening, Israel is now doing its own, it's doing an no reverse card on Iran, okay? Because Iran was like, hey, Israel, we're right at your border. Like we have the Iranian Empire is now borders Israel. Like you used to be scared of Iran when we were all the way over there. But guess hello, we're knocking at your door. We're right in Syria. This is our proxy government now. They were bragging about the fact that they have Iraq and Syria. So any Iranian military truck, could now just without any issue, could just drive from Iran all the way right to the borders of Israel. And they were bragging about that. And they're like, you guys know what this means. You guys are gonna just not be able to sleep. You all have to be able to, like, you have to sleep with one eye open, like, as you know. So that's what they were bragging about. Now Israel is like, well, guess what, motherfuckers? We're at your border now, right? Because Israel is like, just recently started going. Israel had the first flight. Foreign diplomat of Israel came to Bahrain just recently, so right underneath Iran. So Bahrain and Israel are so beyond that, just the Abrahamic Accords, right? Which Israel is now getting closer to the UAE and Egypt and everyone else in Sudan. But now also Bahrain. I don't know why that didn't get much more attention, because Bahrain is a big deal as well. That just recently happened. That happened during Biden's time, right? So like Israel is now to the southern borders of Iran, but also to the north in Azerbaijan. Like, look who's surrounding who now. We're right, like we be doing the knocking now. We're knocking from the south and we're knocking from the north. Like Azerbaijan is basically Israel's buddy right next to Iran, and also Bahrain now. So like and yeah, so things are not looking good when it comes to Israeli presence in the region. So Israel has decided, instead of like keep crying about like, oh my God, we have Iran. Iran is everywhere. Iran is here. Iran is over there. Like, what do we do? What do we do? Instead of like just playing defense, they're like, you know what? We're going to play offense. We're going to show up at their neighborhood. So this is, I think, and that's what's happening. And this is why Iran is having huge tensions with Azerbaijan right now. And they can't even say it. They can't really publicly be anti-Azerbaijan, because Azerbaijan's main ally is not even Israel. Azerbaijan's main ally is Turkey. So much so that Azerbaijan and Turkey are acting like as if they're the same country. Like they're saying like two nations, one. I don't know what they're saying. What's the chant that they go with? Two countries, one nation, something like that. We're two countries but one nation, something like that. Like, so Turkey is Sunni, Azerbaijan is Shia, but their ethnic identity being the same and cultural and ethnic identity being the same has brought them closer together. Like the Shia identity hasn't brought Azerbaijan close to Iran, but the ethnic and cultural identity of Azerbaijan and Turkey has made them basically like they have completely ignored the fact that one of them is Sunni and the other one is Shia. It doesn't matter. This is like, guys, ethnic tensions is sometimes even a bigger deal in the Middle East than religious ones, right? So, and this is one example of that, right? What was I going to say? Oh, the last thing I want to bring to attention about this is that Israel is being very, very clever about all of this, right? Because there are three Islamic political forces around the Middle East, right? One is, and again, this is very loosely and simplified, and the lines are not very well defined, and it's mostly like you don't know where one of them stops and the other one begins at sometimes. Okay. And there are also a lot of other groups that don't belong to any of these. Yes, I know, but these are the main biggest forces, right? You have the Velayat Faqih brand of Shia Islam, which is led by the Iranian government and is all over the region because of Iran's proxies and everybody that has ties to them. So the Shia force, again, not all Shias. Yes, I know the Velayat Faqih brand of Shia Islam. That is the one group. The other group is the Wahhabi Islamic force. And again, I know not all of these people are Wahhabis themselves, but they're connected to it, right? Like the Sauds, the Emiratis, and anybody that is loyal to these groups, like and like Egypt, right? So all the Gulf Arab states, not excluding Qatar, which is more on the last force that I'm going to mention, excluding Qatar, the Gulf Arab states, plus Egypt, right? So that block, that is one group. And the third group is the one that you could refer to as the Muslim Brotherhood bloc, right? Which would be Qatar, which would be Turkey, which could be Pakistan, and now it could be Afghanistan, right? Depending on which part of the Taliban gets the upper hand in Afghanistan. Right now in Afghanistan, we have basically either the Muslim Brotherhood kind of Islam, if the people who did the Doha negotiation from Taliban get the upper hand, that would be, or it would be more of the Wahhabi side, which is if the Haqqani network of Taliban get the upper hand, which is weird because the Haqqani group is the one that is more loyal to Pakistan, but we also mentioned Pakistan would be more of the Muslim Brotherhood. So that's why it gets a little bit complicated, right? But so these are the three main Islamic forces, and they are against each other, right? They hate each other, right? The two Sunni ones, you have one Shia one and two Sunni ones, right? The Wahhabi one and the Muslim Brotherhood one, they're Sunni. One of them is more of a monarchy type of Islamic government. The other one is like a more democracy, bring Islam to power with the election, which makes the Wahhabi one consider them a huge danger, because the Wahhabi Islamic countries, again, I know I'm losing these, they're not all Wahhabi, I'm just naming it because they're associated with each other. Okay, so the Gulf Arab countries, not including Qatar, they see that model of Islamic power as a threat to them because they're monarchies, and that kind of Islamic power will basically reduce their legitimacy, because they believe in elections, they believe in getting Muslims in power through the ballot, and that's a major threat to the monarchs, right? And they're also very afraid of the Shia Islam, of the Iranian branch of Shia Islam, because that has been a huge aggressor. By the way, this is why in Egypt we had a major fight between the people that were closer to Saudis and the Emiratis and the Muslim Brotherhood. And the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, which was the birthplace of Muslim Brotherhood, fell apart, right? So you can see that battle being fought in Egypt, and you can now see that it's being fought to a lesser deal in Afghanistan, right? So what's happening in Azerbaijan is basically the continuation of Israel's policy in being allies with the two other forces that are not Iran, right? So remember, we said there's three forces: the Shias, the Muslim Brotherhood kind, and the Wahhabi kind, right? So you saw it through the Abrahamic Accord, and now also Israel getting closer to Bahrain. You see that Israel was getting closer to these Gulf Arab countries, uniting against Iran, right? But now what you see is that Israel is also having a higher presence in Azerbaijan, is coming to that other part of the equation, because that's part of, has a closer tie with Turkey. And, again, Turkey and Israel have a tension between each other, but they're actually much more like, the tension seems to be more symbolic because they actually have a lot of ties with each other. So we'll see, maybe Azerbaijan will become the backdoor way for these two to unite against Iran. The tension between Turkey and Iran represents a more ancient battle since the beginning of Islam, because the Arabs brought Islam, but as soon as they brought it, they lost all power over it, and it seemed like it was everybody else that was in power that were not Arabs for most of Islamic history, right? As soon as the Umayyad dynasty fell, the Abbasid dynasty was heavily Persian influenced, but then all of the history of Islam was run by empires that were not Arabs. They were the Arab ones were very insignificant compared to all the other Islamic powers in the world, where it was either Persian or Turkish, right? And the battle between the Turks and the Persians, as the Persian Empire and the Ottomans, was a continuation of more ancient battles before that between the Romans and the Persians and the Greeks and the Persians, right? So the Arabs seem to be just like, oh, we just birthed Islam into place, but then we were always like looking at, just like before Islam, the Arabs were just like these nomads that just looked at empires fighting with each other. They, for a very short time, they became the empire, and then they went back and set back again and they watched, even in the name of Islam, they watched empires fighting with each other, and they weren't the empires themselves. I mean, I know in Egypt they had like the Ismailis and the Fatimiyun and yeah, but it wasn't like as big as the other ones, right? So now that we're looking at the geopolitics in the Middle East, it seems like the two major ones was also, again, the Turkey and Iran. The only reason why the Arabs all of a sudden became significant is because they were sitting on black gold. So for a couple of decades, all of a sudden they became a major part of the equation again, because money was just pouring out of the ground, right? But they wasted it very fast. And now they're back to like, oh my God, we're like insignificant again. And it's going back to like Turkey-Iran situation. But Israel is like, hey, I can help make you significant again, because you guys seem to be not even with the best technology and the best military equipment in the world. You seem to be still losing somehow. So maybe you need some help. And these are the Gulf Arab countries are like, yes, please, anybody, like, if it takes Israel's help for us to defend ourselves against Iran, we'll take it, right? So that's what's, so Israel being an ally with Saudi Arabia again, and the Emirati country, the Emiratis and everyone else might like keep them. I don't know what's going to happen. Like once the price of oil drops like a rock, what's going to happen to Saudi Arabia? We'll see. So I'm not going to make any predictions, but Israel is like, okay, we're going to continue doing that. Like, so it's, it's very clever, because Israel has learned, just like Saudi Arabia has learned, that reliance on United States is not like a long-lasting strategy. So we're going to go and see who else is against Iran, and we're going to unite with every single one of them. That's the only thing it takes. Only thing it takes. As long as you're afraid of the Islamic Republic of Iran, we'll be there and we'll be allies. We don't have any other conditions. Right? All right, let's go to the live chat question. Did that answer your question, Music Guy? Was that good? Let me know if you were satisfied with everything. Music Guy saying, wow, got my money's worth of these questions. Thanks. Oh, look at this. You're welcome, Music Guy. I'm glad you're satisfied. Okay, cool. Let's go to the live chat questions. I saw a whole bunch, but I have to go from scrolling from all the way to there we go. I hope I didn't miss any of them, right? So I think this is the first one. And you're saying, do you have any views on People's Republic of Rojava? I don't have much of a view. I just know leftists in Western countries love them so much, and I think they might be exaggerating how good they are, but I'm not sure. So People's Republic of Rojava, which is in Syria, where the small community follows communism, which was recently invaded by Turkey, and US didn't apply sanctions. Okay, guys, I don't know how well this whole Rojava situation was. I don't think like you could apply how good how good or bad their situation was. I don't think that's going to be a good indication of whether communism is good or bad, because this is like a very unique situation and these people are dealing with defending themselves against threats. I don't think economic models come into play that much of how, more important than economic models that these situation is military strategy. Like, so having the best military strategy is more important for communities like this than what economic system that you have. And if they're successful, it's probably more because of the military strategies that they have. Again, I don't know much about it. I just think like they have been idealized, like people have been celebrating them so much. And I suspect that it might be exaggerated, but I'm not sure. Okay. With regards to Turkey coming and taking over, and United States not reacting, I don't know what people expected. I mean, Turkey is like part of NATO. Turkey is a country with a serious economy, with a serious military. And what do you want the United States to do? To United States to come and be like, oh yeah, we're gonna attack Turkey, which we're gonna, as we move out of the Middle East, we need to fix our relation. United States is gonna need Turkey to as a stabilizing force in the Middle East if United States has any hope in becoming less meddling in the Middle East. Okay, if things fall apart in the Middle East, United States will be forced to come back to the Middle East and have a higher presence there. They don't want that. They really don't want that. They want to focus their efforts on China. And one of the most important countries to have on your side around the Middle East is going to be Turkey. Why would the United States threaten its relationship beyond what it already has? And now I think they're focusing on fixing it. Why would they threaten that? For what? For like a just community of people in a small part of Syria? Like, it wouldn't make any sense, right? United States is going to be desperately needing Turkey's help with everything they're doing. Does that make sense? Tony B is saying, once again, I am ignored for being disabled. How could you be ignored for being disabled when I can't tell that you're disabled? What is this? Guys, you're posting this at a time that I was addressing patron questions. What was your question? Also, did you tag Secular Jihadists when you ask a question? Because those are the only ones I'm not like. I usually actually miss in comments that doesn't have Secular Jihadist tags, and I even saw yours. I saw yours, and even though you didn't tag, and I'm highlighting it. You guys, I'm not gonna read comments. I want to read questions. Okay, so I see some people tagging Secular Jihadists and then posting comments for me to read. But if you can, please also. Okay. Wow, so many comments I have to go through to find the question. No, Aqsa. So I think Aqsa is Dome of the Rock. No, Aqsa is Aqsa Mosque is a little bit next. It's next to the Dome of the Rock. It's not the Dome of the Rock itself, is it? No, I think Dome of the Rock will be Beitul Muqaddas, right? I think Beitul Muqaddas will be the Dome of the Rock. Al-Aqsa Mosque is like Muqaddas. Yeah, Beitul. No, Beitul Muqaddas, I think it's Jerusalem. I don't know. Yeah, see, I was right. The Aqsa Mosque is not the Dome of the Rock. Yeah, no, the mosque is the Dome of the Rock itself is like an Islamic kind of shrine thingy, but it's not a mosque itself. The mosque itself is under the ground right next to it. and it's huge. I've been there. Is huge. Do you think Algeria will solidify its alliance with Iran since Morocco did officially form an alliance with Israel? I don't know, actually. That's a good question. I just know they have been having a major dispute over the Sahara area. That's what I know. And Trump just randomly came and gave it to Morocco. Wait, right? Am I remembering this correctly? Trump just came and gave the disputed area to Morocco, or am I thinking of another country over them having better ties with Israel? Am I thinking of a different country? That's what happened, didn't it? But I don't know what's going to happen with Iran and Algeria. I would have to look that up. Oh, so I was saying yes. Sorry, Al-Sahra is the dome of the. Oh, Sahra means rock. You're saying yes. Okay, so I was saying yes. Sorry, Al-Sahra is the dome of the rock. I can tell because Al-Sahra is also a rock in Persian. So dome of the rock, Sahra. Okay, I will never forget that. Sahra means rock. Good. But guys, am I correct? Didn't Trump's administration give the Sahara region that was the dispute between Morocco and Algeria to Morocco in exchange of them recognizing Israel? Or am I confusing my North African countries? I'm remembering this correctly, right? Oh my God, guys, you're asking countries. I'm losing my mind. You're asking questions without tagging secular jihadists. Okay, Sure Fat is saying yes. Trump recognized Western Sahara as Morocco. Yes, without any talking to any country or any like negotiation, any talking to experts or any like planning or anything. They're like, hey, Morocco, we're like desperate for any like foreign policy. Like this whole Abraham Accord move is so they were so pushing for it that they're just like, Morocco, you want Western Sahara? like this was like a huge dispute between Algeria and Morocco, and Trump's just like, we're gonna recognize it as Morocco, just like that. Morocco like, oh yay, in return for Morocco recognizing Israel. It was Algeria was like, wait, what? Anyways, that was cool. That was funny. Yes, so D is also confirming that I was right. Okay, I'm going to read this comment even though I was a secular jihadist was not tagged. Allied Atheist Alliance saying, should Western countries give priority to ex-Muslims for refugee status? Yes. Well, not priority, but they should at least include them because right now they don't, at least not in Canada. And in fact, one thing you can celebrate a lot is that our CEO, Susanna, has started a petition that has the signature of people like Steven Pinker, Lawrence Krauss, Ali Rizvi, Yasmin Mohammed, Tariq Fatah, Canadians, basically. Council of Ex-Muslims of North America, or other Canadians or Canadian-based organizations, and the push for that petition. So Susanna started this, and Susanna has only started doing her work in 1 year ago, right? And she already has managed to make such an amazing effort in pushing the Canadian government to include ex-Muslims and atheists in their refugee program. Because as it was right now, which is amazing because Canada is usually ahead of everyone else when it comes to protecting human rights and human rights of ex-Muslims, actually. And when it comes to for them to accept refugees from Afghanistan, the list that they had of people who were accepting was LGBT people, was people that were being discriminated against based on their religious identity, basically religious minorities. But there was no mention of atheists or ex-Muslims, even though in Afghanistan, these are people who are under some of the greatest stress. And that was not on the list. And that's an amazing, a horrible precedent to set as Canada, which a lot of countries look as a role model for a lot of activists in other countries, push their countries to become more like Canada. when it comes to like defending people's human rights in other countries, right? And they didn't even have ex-Muslims or atheists there. And Susanna, the CEO of Atheist Republic, decided to make an effort to push the Canadian government as a Canadian organization that Atheist Republic is, and get the signature of Canadian and noteworthy Canadians and institutions. And she got Steven Pinker. Can you believe that? Steven Pinker is a Canadian. She got his name and other people that I mentioned, right? Which is fantastic. But I don't know if it's going to work or not, but at least it's now on record, and it could be cited as this was a push against the Canadian government. By the way, if you go on Atheist Republic, I think we're going to be Atheist Republic's YouTube channel. We're going to be posting a video about this very soon because we streamed already and it's going to be cut and posted. So make sure you are subscribed to Atheist Republic's YouTube channel to see that. Yeah, just search for Atheist Republic and the first channel that shows up, subscribe to it. That video is going to come out soon. So, right? But yeah, I'm really proud of Susanna for doing that because that was very much needed. Thank you. Shurfa saying, what do you make of the Kashmir conflict between India and Pakistan, and to an extent China? Who do you think it should belong to? I think people in Kashmir should be given the right to self-determination, and I don't think it should be the business of India, Pakistan, of China. They were promised a vote. It was in the constitution of India for them that they get a vote. They should be able to determine their own future. And this choice that was promised to them is being robbed from them by India's current government. And unfortunately, what they're trying to do is a demographic engineering in Kashmir so that if there ever is a vote, it's going to be happening at a time where India has replaced the demographics enough with their own goons enough to be able to get the vote that they want. So that's what I think. I think people's right to self-determination is being robbed from them in Kashmir, and I don't think it should be the governments of Pakistan, China, or India should take a step back and let the people in Kashmir vote on this themselves. They should be. There needs to be a referendum. This was promised to them. Do you guys agree with this? Let me know in the live chat. They should be able to have multiple options. They should be able, like, we want to be part of Pakistan, we want to be part of India, or we want to be our own country. It should be a vote. It should be like, how is this not the obvious answer? How is this not the obvious answer? Both legally, this was promised to them, and also morally, the people living there should be able to decide this. Surefat is saying, am I reading your name right? I don't. It sounds like you're saying the problem is Pakistan has also demographically changed the population of their part of Kashmir. Though I think the current line of control should be made aboard. Well, the sooner you delay this, the more demographic engineering is going to happen. But if there needs to be, if it needs to be cut in half, then the people should say that again. If there needs to be a border, a new border, the people should decide. Again, the people who are living there, even if it's already under the influence of some demographic engineering, well, the people are living there now. They should determine. But I'm just saying it should happen before more demographic engineering happens. I don't know to what extent. I don't know, by the way, if what you're saying is correct, but I'm just, let's assume it's true. I don't know to what extent demographic engineering has been, because the news about this is not reliable. There's so many people that have so much agenda. Like, I know demographic engineering is happening and has happened, but to what extent? Everybody is so biased that you have to do like a deep dive investigation to know who to trust, because everybody is so politically motivated about, they're putting their own agenda when they're reporting the news about this. So if I really want to know how much of the demographic engineering is true and how much of it is exaggerated, like, it wouldn't take me just like reading a live chat. It wouldn't even take me just reading some news articles, because the news articles could be from WION. It could be like, I don't know, like it could be from left-leaning Indian news sources. I have to know, I have to actually go and actually investigate, right? Okay, there's no more tags. I'm just gonna focus on the tags. Ooh, I missed the tag. Okay, that's a tag, but it was a comment. God, I missed the tag. Where is it? There was one by Atheist Alliance, but it jumped. All right, I'm going to read it from the bottom and then just go up. What do you think about Petra being the original Mecca? Why don't you make an entire podcast about it, or at least comment while watching Dan's documentary? The problem is that Dan is not himself a scholar, right? Dan Gibson, what was that his last name, right? And what he says seems very compelling, but it's compelling to me, who is not a scholar, right? So when I watch it first, I'm like, oh my God, this seems like it's true. But then when I listen to other scholars, they seem to be not taking it that seriously. Actual scholars, and I'm not talking about Islamic scholars, I'm talking about secular scholars. It seems like they agree that the Mecca story is either not real, like Islam didn't start in Mecca, or even if it did, it's largely exaggerated. Like Mecca was not as major of a city as Islam make it seem like it was, and a lot of them agree. Like some of them agree that maybe it wasn't even there. Like this was not even a city. But where the characters of Muhammad, so one thing, why am I out of focus? Hello, okay. One thing Dan Gibson does is that he seems to take Muhammad's stories too seriously, as if it happened, and then he's trying to say like where it happened. But we don't even know if these stories actually happened. We know that Muhammad is based on a character that is real, that united the Arabs and came out of Arabia and started attacking Jerusalem and other places, right? The Arabs eventually. But we don't know if his name was Muhammad. Maybe that was just his title. We kind of know now that his religion was not really Islam. Like Islam was like a later invention. His religion was something Abrahamic, but very unlike what we recognize as Islam today. But what Dan Gibson does is like he looks at the hadiths for proof of his claims as if these are real stories that actually happened there. It is also true that a lot of people think that if Muhammad's story is based on any real events, it probably happened somewhere close, much more north of Mecca. But for it to be Petra has not yet been established. Okay, for me to believe that, because we're not, guys, here's what you do when you're not a scholar yourself. Okay, we don't have the tools and the experience to investigate these directly. The best we could do is see how many other serious scholars agree with this. I know this doesn't seem like a good method for you because it's an appeal to authority, right? But it's Occam's razor, right? Even if Dan Gibson, am I saying his last name correctly? Let's see. Am I worried if I'm like using a celebrity name instead? No, yes, I'm right. Dan Gibson. Even as Dan Gibson is right, and Muhammad's story was in Petra, not in Mecca, the safest thing for us as non-scholars to do is to use Occam's razor and be like, I will believe it when more scholars take it seriously. Okay? The main thing that Dan Gibson uses as evidence to suggest that the story of Muhammad happened in Petra rather than Mecca was the direction of the mosques, the mosques that were built within the first 100 years after the birth of Islam, the alleged birth of Islam, seem to be pointing towards Petra very accurately instead of Mecca. Okay, like I know it's more complicated than that's what it seems. The first time I watched the documentary, I was like, well, obviously then it's Petra, Like, how could it be anywhere else other than Petra? But apparently, nobody else has yet repeated this examination. And some people think it's ludicrous to even suggest that the Mecca, the directions of the Qiblas in the mosques would have been that accurate anyways, because he seems to make it seem like they're so accurate. Like right now, when you're praying as a Muslim, right, you don't have to hit Mecca very accurately, right? It's hard to imagine that the Qiblas at that time, they were actually that accurate for them to be pinpointing towards Petra. So for us to take this claim seriously, even if it's true, I don't think we're in a position to take it seriously. It's interesting, and we should like keep it in the back of our mind, but you take it seriously when it's repeated, when multiple other people come after and repeat the same test and come up with the same conclusions. Then it will go from your maybe, I don't know, to like, oh wow, this is actually a serious scholarly suggestion right now. You can't just take it that seriously when only one person has said it and nobody else has confirmed it yet. Nobody serious has it confirmed. That's what you do as a non-scholar. This is how you put your beliefs in different boxes. When you yourself are another expert, you use Occam's razor, right? Does that make sense, guys? Yes, I agree with this. I don't know that podcast, Jojo. I mean, I think I've heard of them, but I don't listen to them, so I don't know if I could comment on that. Okay, these are comments. Guys, I might have missed your questions. It just made a huge jump. Yeah, guys, anything like this, we are not in a position ourselves to, for example, with the existence of Jesus, right? You guys are not archaeologists. You guys are not biblical scholars, right? But a lot of people have just like read a book or two and be like, okay, I think Jesus is real, or I think, oh, Jesus was not real, right? To me, I'm like, most non-religious secular scholars seem to be thinking that Jesus' story was based on a real character, right? I mean, I'm not a scholar myself. I mean, I still would be interested to see what the reasoning is. But again, if most experts believe this, it's more likely that one you have to put more weight in the likelihood of that being the true thing. You could still be wrong, but you will be wrong for the right reason. It's better to be wrong for the right reasons than right for the wrong reasons. I just made that up. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Guys, you need to repeat your questions because we had a major jump in the live chat on StreamYard. Okay, I don't know much about NFL players. Oh, the guy that did. Okay, I can talk about this. I'm just saying, what are your opinions on Colin Kaepernick? Oh, I said right. An NFL player taking a knee to protest police brutality. I think that's completely fine. I think like you could protest. I'm in favor of protests in peaceful ways, and it can't get any more peaceful than kneeling. So what's wrong with that? So it's pretty simple. You protest things with peaceful ways. I am very much in favor of promoting a culture of protests. Protest is what keeps people in power accountable. So I'm in favor of it. Oh, wow, we got a super chat. Holy crap. Nilufar, thank you so much. $10 super chat. Nilufar, support for secular jihadists and my personal hero, Armin. Ah, I don't know which. I think like more than the super chat, I like the comment. Thank you so much, Nilufar. That was so sweet. You sent. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. That just made my day. Thank you for the comment. That was very guys. This is what motivates the comments like this. Just keeps me going. This is like fuel for me. Thank you so much. That's very sweet. Hmm. Okay, let me see. What is your opinion on philosophy? Oh, guys, I'm gonna do a review on this. I haven't watched it yet, but I downloaded it and I'm gonna review it. I think I'm gonna review it. So Saint May say I'm gonna review it on Atheist Republic. So make sure you subscribe to Atheist Republic. I'm gonna break it down. Saying what is your opinion on Philosophy Tube's latest video, which is titled Islamophobia. Once I'm done with reviewing Daniel Hagaju's debate with Harris Sultan, the next video I'm going to review would be this. So there's that. Okay, let me read the comments. Allied Atheist Alliance is asking, is Pakistan an apartheid state? Huh? How? How would it be an apartheid state? Is there any two-class system? For it to be an apartheid state, shouldn't a two-class system be based on ethnicity? Because I could see maybe if you wanted to say like if you want to say Shias and other minorities are considered like second-class citizens, Christians, Muslim minority groups are second-class citizens, then is it an apartheid state? If it's based on that, then maybe yes. But I think the definition of apartheid state requires it to be based on the second-class citizenship to be based on ethnicity, right? Unless I'm getting the definition wrong. Hold on. Was this racial segregation? Yes, it needs to be racially motivated. So I guess not. Yeah, you're saying I don't think so, but going by logic that Israel is then Pakistan too. No, because if you want to call Israel an apartheid state, you could. There's a better case for that because this segregation needs to be based on ethnicity. In Pakistan, it's not based on ethnicity; it's based on religion. So there's that. Doesn't fit the definition. Not that it makes it okay; it just doesn't fit the definition. Do you support legalizing weed? Yes, I'm in favor of legalizing all drugs. Well, at least I don't know if I should name the drugs here because YouTube could be punishing us if I name drugs. I don't know how the YouTube's what policies is for naming the drugs. But the one that you're mentioning definitely is, even though I tried it and I'm not that much into it. I tried some other things in Amsterdam, and those I preferred to this. Okay. I think the things that are legal in Amsterdam should be legal everywhere. Those are that's, so beyond what you're mentioning, every single drug that is legal in Amsterdam should be legal everywhere. I love you too, Armin. No haram. No haram. There's nothing wrong with haram. But thank you. Thank you. Okay. Oh yes. Okay, yes. Then I love it. Any show that had me on is definitely great. Yes, guys, go check out the Myth Vision podcast. Okay, especially when they had me as a guest. That's the most important. That's the most important episode they had and will ever have. Okay, so if you're not gonna go check the entire podcast, at least check the episode that I was on. Probably not probably, definitely their best episode. I haven't even checked their other episodes. I just know that would be their best episode. Oh yeah, I already read that one. Sneakers Corner and Kyra have some interesting information too. Okay, this is a comment, not a question. I'm just gonna. Oh yes, this is very important, guys. Make sure you like the stream right now. It doesn't cost you anything other than half a second, and it really helps us grow. Please, please like the video. You owe us that. I'm just spending time with you guys here, answering your questions. And these are, guys, the answers I give you to your questions. They're the best answers you're ever gonna get. Nowhere else and it's available to you for free. Okay, so you could thank us by liking the video and making sure the channel grows, guys. Come on, the analysis that I give you, you don't get that anywhere else online. You don't get that anywhere else online, right? So more people need to be aware of how awesome this channel and my answers are. So help me get there by liking the video, okay? Just let them know, and also share the video. Let them know that this is when it comes to geopolitics, no other channel beats this channel, right? Obviously not. So just let them know that this is where they need to get their information. Most successful multicultural country, so you're saying it would be Malaysia or Singapore. I would say Canada. Definitely Canada. Definitely Canada over Malaysia for sure. Easy. Okay, so you agree with me on that? Well, I don't know. Yeah, but I don't think even if Pakistanis are consider themselves Arab, they're not discriminating against like Shias on the basis of race. So that's why it's not apartheid. Again, the definition, the semantics matter less than how big the harm is, right? The harm in Pakistan. So see, guys, this is actually very good examples. Like you could argue that Israel is like what they're doing is apartheid. What Pakistan is doing is not apartheid. But the harm that is happening in Pakistan is worse than what. Actually, I don't know. Never mind. Scratch that. But I'm just saying that what I'm saying, I have to do the numbers. I don't. Yeah, okay. So I actually never mind what I just said. Just forget I just said the last 50 seconds. Forget everything. Just wipe it out of your mind. But my point is that the harm level is more important than which category of harm this belongs to. Actually, scratch that as well. Because unfortunately, the category of the harm becomes more sometimes important if you want to get international attention and aid to, and enough motivation to stop it, right? So if you have, I don't know, like 50 people who died and in one country and 50 people who died in another country, if you get to accurately legally label one of them a genocide, then you're going to get more help in stopping it than if you can't help label a genocide. So unfortunately, the other 50 people who died who were not genocided, you're out of luck with getting the same level of support. So even though the harm was the same, sometimes you need to actually find a way to be able to label it something that will get you legal and international attention, right? So even though it shouldn't matter, that level of harm should be the only thing that matters, but we have to play that game sometimes to be able to stop harm. Okay, what is this? Yeah, Georgia, I read this a couple of times, but I'm only highlighting questions. That's why I don't know why you keep posting it. I got it. I read it. Okay, I'm just going to read these last two questions unless something shows up. I'm trying to be guys. When you tag me and then give a comment instead of question, is making me have to like keep reading everything until I find a question, and then I get a question and we're not tagged. Farah is saying, any ideas where Afghanistan might go from here? So the Afghanistan, there's three different things that we have to see where it's going to go. Okay, there is security, freedom, and the economy. Okay, these are the three things everybody is watching. Okay, and then the relationships with countries around Afghanistan is going to be determined based on these three things. Okay, so because of, for example, because of lack of freedom and women's rights and stuff like that, that's going to push away countries from them. But because of the desperation and the crisis that Afghanistan is dealing with right now when it comes to poverty and people, like there seems to be a prediction of a collapse of the economy. I don't know how accurate that is, but that seems to be what people are warning us about. So this is going to motivate some countries to stay, to somehow be involved without recognizing the Taliban. It's going to, I don't know how big of a crash the economy is going to, if it's going to be if the economy is actually going to experience a giant crash, the effects on, it's going to have effects on the two other elements, right? So from these three things, mostly people are focused on how much freedom are people going to be available to people, how much Taliban today is like Taliban 20 years ago, are women are going to be able to educate themselves or not, what's going to, LGBT people are going to suffer, but to what level are they going to suffer? Religious minorities, okay, yes, we know they're going to suffer, but to what level are they going to suffer? These are the questions we're going to be asking. And right now there's competition between two different groups in Afghanistan, right? Two different Talibans. We have the Doha, Kandahari Taliban, and then we have the ISI Haqqani Network, ISI supported Haqqani Network Taliban, and then we have ISIS-K as well in the background, just waiting for everybody in Taliban, because the Taliban right now is trying to appease other countries, which saying like, guys, we're not that bad. Look, we're doing this, we're doing that. Please recognize our government so we could start doing trades with everybody, so that people could actually start coming and invest in Afghanistan, because we desperately need that. We're sitting on $1 trillion worth of minerals, and we can't get to it because we don't have the tools to get to it. Okay, we're just sitting on top of it, and we don't have the roads and the train and the tools and any of the infrastructure to get that out, and our economy is collapsing. They're sitting on gold, not gold literally, some other metals, but they're sitting on a lot of wealth, and the economy is collapsing. Okay, they need relationships with other countries, they need recognition from other countries, and this is going to push them to becoming pragmatic and becoming less like the Taliban, like they were 20 years ago. Still horrible, but they can't become too pragmatic, because if they become too pragmatic, then their members are going to be like the people in Taliban, people that join to fight. They're going to be like, this is not the Pakistan. This is not the Taliban I know. This is not what we fought for. Like, as soon as they were right, as soon as we would come into power, we become corrupt. We start talking to Americans. We're having an American. We're talking about having American embassy. We're asking for United States help. The people that we just defeated, guys. There are even Taliban people that are afraid. There are Taliban members right now that they're like, what if I don't die? They're scared that the fight is over, and they're not going to be able to become martyrs. Their Taliban commanders are, some of them are promising their soldiers, like, don't worry, there's still going to be opportunities for you to die. Like, this is the promise that they're giving some of the Taliban members. Like, they're having a panic attack, they're having a crisis of like, oh my God, there's no more war. I lost my chance at becoming a martyr. And they're like, all right. So they might like, and the ones that, and there are other ones that they're looking at their leaders and they're like, we were like, you're becoming this, like the things that we were fighting against, right? So that's why ISIS-K is banking on this, and they're like, ooh, this is great. We're having disinfected people, like people who are like not losing faith in Taliban. We're going to have an economic collapse. This is how this is the best environment for radical groups to grow, right? So economy, like right now with the Taliban, with all the trade stopping, recognition stopping, it could become devastating, and a lot of people are going to suffer from starvation and shit like that, right? The poverty levels are really bad, and it could get really worse soon. Security wise, ISIS-K is just going to might like other groups might have a field day, and China, guys, China might not be able to invest. Like everybody's looking at China to invest in with the Taliban, and because of all the mineral wealth, right? But if the situation becomes the security wise becomes untenable for China, you have eager Muslims from radical groups of some Uyghurs joining groups in Afghanistan as a way to target China. That's not going to be a situation where China is going to be comfortable to send, experts and investments in. So a lot of countries are waiting to see how much stability can Taliban introduce before they start investing in. So Taliban is going to be very much under pressure, but the Taliban also can't wait. Taliban is like, well, I need that money to come in so that people could see some stability in their economic lives, or else the radical groups are going to grow. So it's kind of like a chicken and the egg problem. Like I need the money to be able to create stability, but the money is not coming in because of lack of stability, right? So they're all related. So I said there's like the freedoms, the security, and the economy, right? So the economy, if it collapses, security would be it's going to be a hotbed for radical groups, and that will hurt the security. Remember, the main thing that the Taliban sold to Afghanistan people as the reason why they should accept them, and a lot of people still support the Taliban in Afghanistan, was because yes, we might lose some of our freedom, but all this corruption and all this war will end. So yes, Taliban, please come and take over, right? But now, if Taliban can't provide that, because Taliban is now going to be in a position where the Russians and Americans were. The Russians were like, God damn it, we can't control Afghanistan. We're out of here. And the Americans are like, God damn it, we can't control Afghanistan. We're out of here. And now maybe the Taliban is going to be in the same position. Now Taliban is, the 20 years Taliban was not doing much of ruling. That was not really much of anything. Now this Taliban today is different from the situation that Taliban is dealing with is a different Afghanistan than the Afghanistan 20 years ago. They have to actually start ruling. And now Taliban is going to be might be saying the same thing that the Russians and the Americans. They're like, God damn it, this thing is uncontrollable, right? So I don't know if that's going to happen. So the economy is going to affect the security, and the whole freedom thing is the tug of war between the two factions of Taliban, because one of the groups is like, guys, we made these promises in Doha to the international community, and if we don't keep these promises, they're not even going to recognize us, and we're going to collapse economically. And the other groups in Taliban, like, if we give in to these demands by all these international community, then our members are going to leave us, and they're going to join groups like ISIS-K, and they're going to attack us, and it's going to be unstable. So Taliban is has to how do I keep my members happy that we're still Islamic, we're still the radical group that you know and love, and also keep the international community happy? This is a very hard balancing power thing for Taliban right now. Okay, so sometimes if you see the Taliban is punishing somebody who's gay, sometimes it's because look guys, we're still the Taliban that you love. That might be the messaging there, right? A lot of people who left the Taliban and joined ISIS-K, they consider Taliban to be ex-Muslim now. They think they're heretics. They're like, you guys are not Muslim anymore because you're talking to Americans, and you also said to Shias that you're going to be protecting them, which is even worse than they have videos of Taliban Taliban came out with a video saying we're not the Taliban 20 years ago. Look, we love Shias. We're going to protect them. So many Taliban members what? The Shias are our number one enemy. Forget America. If you are talking about Shias, this is you're definitely heretics. You're definitely heretics. And now they're joining. And ISIS-K is coming out with the messaging of saying, we told you guys, nations are not the way. The Caliphate is the way. Nations is a Western invention. You cannot believe the nation state model is not how you define Islam. The only way you define Islam, because Taliban is a nation state, Islamic nation state model in Afghanistan. ISIS-K is like, what the hell is Afghanistan? Islam doesn't recognize nation states. Islam recognizes a caliphate, and that's what ISIS does. It's called the Islamic State, the Islamic State, which was supposed to take over the entire world, not Afghanistan. Like, what is it? Like, your belief, ISIS and ISIS-K will say that your belief in nation state, it's by itself is heretical. You're like fighting for the Afghanistan, this concept of a nation that was invented by Western ideology. Is that what you're defending? Right? So this is, and if the Taliban fails, ISIS-K will like, we told you not to believe in nation states. Bring back the caliphate. Does that make sense, guys? Was that a good summary of the situation? Will you pledge allegiance to Mia Khalifa? I haven't seen any of her work. I might. I would have to investigate. Oh, Music Guy saying, excellent. Thank you, Music Guy. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Just want to do one more question. Let me see if I can find a good one. Let me see. Oh, this is interesting. Saying, people, please don't go to Amsterdam for the dark and evil stuff. Armin, don't you want to prevent people to go to those dark and evil stuff? I think your idea of what's dark and evil is my idea of a great afternoon. If the things that no, those are, guys, don't be a party pooper. Those things are not dark and evil. They're great ways to enjoy life, okay? Especially if they're not harmful to your body, okay? The things that are considered, a lot of things that are considered dark and evil are harmless fun, and you shouldn't deny yourself harmless fun. Yeah, so I'm saying, I think Priya Ray might be preferable to Mia Khalifa. I have to be honest with you guys. I don't really follow certain stars. If I enjoy something, it's because what they're doing and how good looking they are. I don't like become obsessed with one certain person. It's like, it really depends on what they're doing. Are you still disgusted by pork, sir? Not at all. I love pork. Yes, actually, my favorite non-sea meat. Anything else I enjoy more than pork is out of the sea. Anyways, I'm gonna go. Yes. I'm gonna go. I enjoyed the questions. Very good questions. And very fun questions. And I'm going to miss you guys until we do another live stream. Make sure you like the video. Guys, like the video right now. Do it. It doesn't cost you anything. I used to yell at you, and now I don't. So you should respect that. Like the video. I spent 2 hours talking here, and all I ask for you is just to support the channel, help it grow, okay? And subscribe if you haven't, and hit bell notification. And also, if you want to make sure that your questions definitely get answered, become a patron, because patron questions are read first, and they also some of the live chat questions. Sorry, I didn't get to read and answer, but patron questions will always get answered all of the time. And if you're a patron, that means that even if you're not here live with us, I will still read your question. So if you can't make it, I will read the question. But more important than anything else is for you to like this video. That doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps us. Do it, okay? Do it now. Music guy saying, love you, Armin. Thank you. Music guy, your questions and knowledge of things is really admirable. Okay, George is saying, don't take too much of that stuff. Of course, everything you have to be. Health is the most important thing to me. Okay, so anything you enjoy, you have to enjoy it in a way that doesn't harm you, in my opinion. Okay, harmless, anything that is harmless, then enjoy it. Okay, don't use disgust as a way to decide what's right or wrong. If you enjoy it and if it doesn't harm you or anyone else, and even if you enjoy harm, just make sure it's a harm that you could recover from. Okay, like full recovery, like that. Like yeah, harm is also okay. Like if you're into some kinky stuff, I'm not saying anything that is harmful there is bad, but make sure that if you're into harm, it's not permanent harm. Okay. Anyways, I don't know why I'm giving that advice. But if you guys want to talk about that more later, we can. All right. Talk to you guys later, and thank you, and goodbye.